If you'd like to make a pair of elegant dangly earrings, this is just the project. As you can see, you can make them hang off little hangers, and you can make the tops as well and glue the backs on so they're just earring posts. And you can just use any colours, any type of beads to hang off these little stems, these twisted stems. There are so many variations. You could glue a little flat back crystal right on the top area, or you just put them onto fishhook earwise, and you could use little gemstone chips and cluster them at the base. You know, you can just pick on the colours of your outfits. It always works every time. So to start off, I'm going to show you how I make the top of the earrings, which is really just a spiral. And you've seen me do this before. You create a little hook right at the very end of the wire, and then just squeeze that hook together so it doubles up the wire into a sort of just a little bit of doubled up area, and that is what you spiral around. So grip it tight and then bring the wire around itself in concentric circles so that you get a lovely flat, tight, twisted spiral. So you go round, make it as big as you wish. Basically, it's got to be bigger than the flat back post that you're going to glue to the back of the earring. And then leave a little stem, and with that stem you create a link. So that's the link that's going to hook that twisted stem from. You're going to dangle everything off and suspend everything off that. So obviously when you're making earrings, you want to make two of those. So do the same thing for the other one. Always work in tandem when you're doing earrings. That way you're more likely to get it a bit even. And if they're, you know, just need flattening down and work hardening, just give it literally, you just see me do one wallop or a couple of wallops, that's all right. It gets nice and flat and work hardened. And so for the second one, again, this is a different style. I want to show you two styles that you can use for the tops of the earring. Again, you start off exactly in the same way, doing the spiral, going round and round and round. Again, make sure that it's bigger than the post that you're going to glue on to the flat back. And now at this stage, you place the tips of your chain nose pliers just after that spiral, and then bend. And you create this triangular piece. That means you can suspend the piece off that. Now, I'm going to leave a longer tail because I don't want any excess wire, and this I'm going to spiral and then flatten it on top of the other spiral. So again, little circle, right, using the tips of my round nose pliers, and then just roll the wire around. You can keep a little bit of a gap here and bring it in towards that spiral so that it sits neatly on top and at the center of this first spiral that you made. So that is another style. You can see it's two pieces like that. You can actually, you know, glue something underneath and it will hold it in, but I just quite like it. It's a bit more two-dimensional, and it gives you a different look to the spiral because you haven't got a round link at the base, but it's just an idea. And I'll show you. This is the ones I made out of silver, so you can get an idea of what they look like as a pair. And I've glued these on the back, and when I glue I use E6000 glue. I mean, there's many other glues, whatever's your favorite, but I always find that works really well. And always give it a bit of a key, a scratch, and you just glue it on to the backs and leave it there until it's really glued hard. So as I'll just continue with the project, and if I start gluing I'll be here forever. So now you're making the little stems, and these can be, so I'm cutting them 2 by 2 because obviously you're making a pair of earrings. So I'm cutting one and using that as a measure for the second one, because if I had to come back and, you know, work out how long I'd made it, I'd never get it right. I mean, you can write down the measures. So this is a quick way of doing it. So just cut one and use the other as a measure. And I'm doing them in really 3 different lengths. Really, it's up to you. You can do them the same length on each side and then a longer middle one. I'm going to leave you to do your variations. But you need to make links at the top base of each of these stems. And you want to centralize those links. So you can see you bring the round nose pliers to make that link, then place them in and then bend it back. And that way you want the link to be central and you want that nice and straight. You just sort of got to get that stem to be as straight as possible. So do spend a bit of time making sure that your stem is straight and that you've got these links sitting roughly central to the stems that you're creating. So while you're making this, go through each stem in turn, doing all this at the same time. You'll find if you do the same processes at the same time, and you've got this sort of repetition of, it'll sort of work, it'll become a bit faster if you're doing the same repetitive movement of mass production, or it's not very, very small scale, obviously. So here we go we've got a couple more, and again, straighten out. So you just, you can think about what you're going to cook for dinner while you're doing this, or it's a lovely sort of repetitive, easy thing to do, so you don't have to think too hard. And I'm using 0.8 gauge because I want the stems to be quite thin and delicate. But you can obviously use thicker wires. This is a gilt-plated copper wire, which works very well. You can use silver-plated copper, anything you want. This project really came about because if you have square wire, which is not so easy to get in the UK, you can get it in sterling silver and sometimes in copper, but it's not so easy to find. So it came about because I didn't have some square wire at one point, because if you have square wire you can just make the links and then do the twist, but this is a way of doing it with round wire. So this is 0.8 20 gauge round wire that I'm making all these little links onto the top. So once you've got, because we're going to have 3 stems dangling from each earring. So once you've got all your stems ready, you can get ready to start hammering. To get your block in front, your steel block, put each one on your block, and with the steel head of the hammer, you want to only hammer that centerpiece. Don't try and avoid those little links. I know it's not easy, but you can see you're flattening and spreading just that centerpiece. The reason you don't want to hammer those little ends is because you will weaken them and also spread them, and you don't want to make them too bulky. So basically, just take each little stem and watch your fingers. You might hammer them a few times, but keep your fingers away and just hammer the center. So you can spread it out in one direction. This is why I turn it over, because I'm pulling the wire out one way, and if it comes out too much one direction and becomes too bowed, I can turn it over and then get the balance right the other direction. So hammer all of your stems right in the center, and once you're sort of nearly there, which I am, you're going to just make sure that they're flattened, spread, work hardened. You take your block away, and then this is the fun bit, because you're going to start twisting. So for twisting, it's great to have 2 pairs of your flat nose pliers, but otherwise you can use them. So grip each side and twist and twist. Now, don't over twist because you can weaken the ends, but you're just gripping and twisting. So you're sort of pulling your hands away from each other as you twist. And so that flat wire then gets this lovely little sort of twisty bit to it. Now, you see, if you pull too hard and you don't cover the whole of that circle with your flat nose pliers, it can open the link up. So make sure that you're covering the entire link as you're twisting. Otherwise, you might be pulling open that link. So grip it really tight, cover it up, and then just pull and twist. And you can see you get this lovely twist in the stem, which when you wear it, the light will hit those angles and sparkle quite a lot. So it makes it a really elegant, lovely earring. So now it's just a question of suspending whatever you want. It could be beads, it could be spirals, it could be whatever you want. I'm putting on some little bits that I'm keeping to the same, it's all very monochrome, keeping to the same colours, keeping it to all gold earring. And so with each earring, obviously it's going to be, I'm going to try and make it the same. So those 3 little bits, and I'm just going to hook them onto a jump ring and suspend them from the tops of my spiral ear wires. And look at all this assortment. This is just made out of wire, so I've made everything out of wire on that one with coloured wires instead of using beads. So I hope you enjoy this project. There's so many variations you can do, and do have fun making your own. Thank you so much for watching.